And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Ryan Metzler.
Hey everybody, Ryan Metzler here again, and today we're taking a look at another Cosmos 2-player game. We're looking at Hera and Zeus, which, as you can probably tell, is about a battle between two gods. This one is kind of a direct conflict kind of game. It's going to play for people about 12 and up, maybe playing about 40 minutes, and as I said, only 2 players. With that said, why don't we take a look at how this game plays and what my thoughts on it are. So Hera and Zeus is a card game in which each player represents one of 2 gods, either Zeus or Hera. And Zeus and Hera are going to be trying to protect either Io or Argus. You can see Zeus protects Argus and Hera protects Io. And throughout the game you're going to be playing cards on your side of the table in your battlefield, trying to best outwit your opponent in order to defeat their minions and try and locate either Argus or Io, depending on which god you are. When you do locate either Io or Argus, and you defeat them in battle, just meaning that you reveal them most of the time, since pretty much everybody is stronger than Io or Argus's 0 strength, you will win the game. So Argus and Io will be hidden on each player's playing field, and Hera and Zeus will be cards that can be used in order to get more actions throughout the game. Having Zeus or Hera in play will allow each player to take an additional action on their turn. So as I mentioned, Hera and Zeus is a card game which you're going to be trying to battle. The gods are going to be battling on each side of the table. So you'll see here there's a starting setup. Each player has 3 cards in their starting area. And these are 3 columns which you'll be able to build down from into rows. The total playing field would be a maximum of 3 columns and 4 rows for each player. So we could build backwards into 4 rows. Purple could build backwards into 4 rows. And that would be how you expand your battlefield. At the beginning of each game, each player is going to draw 9 cards, and if they have either Argus or Io in their hand, depending on which player they are, they won't keep that one because you don't want to have your hostage in your starting hand. So they're keeping their hostage, trying to prevent the other player from getting it back. So essentially, on your turn, you're going to have 9 cards at the beginning, and you're going to have 4 options of what to do. Now, you get 3 actions on your first turn because you have 3 columns. And the amount of columns you have at the start of each turn will always dictate how many actions you have. So, typically the most actions you can have is going to be 3, unless you have either Hera or Zeus in your side of the battlefield, which will give you an additional action. So it's always to your benefit to keep the maximum number of columns that you can have. Your 4 choices of actions on your turn are to 1, draw a card from your specific deck. So you'll see green and purple will both have decks. And your choice is to draw a card from that deck. So I could, for one of my 3 actions starting out, draw a card. The second type of action you can take is to play a card into your play area. So for example, now that I've drawn this card, perhaps maybe I want to play it. And I would be playing it face down into an area behind one of my cards. I could also play it actually in front of them, which would always slide the cards backwards. But essentially you can play it onto your battlefield, between cards, below cards, and it would move around accordingly. And this is going to be how you build your battlefield against your opponent. Your third choice on your turn is to directly challenge one of your opponent's cards. And this can be a little bit risky at the start. So you can see here, I've got 3 cards that are in direct conflict with my opponent's purple 3 cards. And I could challenge any one of these by simply saying, okay, this card here will challenge the card directly across from it. And it must always be directly across. What I would then do is reveal my card, and I reveal Medusa. And Medusa can kill pretty much any card. And I'll show the special abilities of cards here in the next segment. But essentially, Medusa is going to be deadly to almost anybody. And so I would reveal the card across from it, and it's the Sirens. And technically, this card couldn't even be there. So let's say, for example, it was a Pegasus. And the Pegasus would die in this case. And any cards that were behind this would shift up, still face down if they were, or face up if they'd been flipped over earlier. That's your third option. Your fourth option is actually going to be to play special cards, like the Sirens that I just flipped over there. And these cards are going to have special abilities that will modify how the game is played. They may allow you to take cards back into your hand. They may allow you to, let's say, for example, draw or replace a card in your area. They can do all sorts of several different things. And we'll get into how those work here in the next segment. So as I mentioned previously, there are these mythology cards, and these are all indicated by this eye here on the card. You can kind of see it underneath the number on the cards. The numbers on all of the cards are going to be their strengths. So you can see the hero has a strength of 2, the Amazon also has a strength of 2, and Medusa has a strength of 0, and that's because she has a special ability. The Amazon and the hero also have special abilities, but they apply only to the Medusa cards. So normally they're just strength 2, which you'll compare directly to an opponent's card strength if you're fighting it. But in the case of the Medusa, Amazons and heroes are going to be the only cards that can kill a Medusa. So in order to kill a Medusa, you need to directly conflict a hero with the purple Medusa or the Amazon with the green Medusa. Medusa, when it attacks or when it's in conflict with any other creature, will automatically kill it, staying on the board and just eliminating the opponent's card, which will then be sent to the discard pile, and their battlefield will shift. The next set of mythological cards here are the Pegasuses, or Pegasi, and Persephone. And Pegasi have special abilities that are much more diverse than the abilities of many of the other cards. One, the Pegasus allows you to attack your opponent's hand, and choose basically one card from that opponent's hand. And if they find a mythology card, which is any of these cards with the little symbols on it, that card is immediately defeated. Otherwise, if it's a card with a strength of 2 to 7, which are not any of the mythology cards, it gets placed directly into play in the opponent's first row. Secondly, the Pegasus will allow you to challenge one card directly from your hand in your opponent's first row. So you can play the Pegasus from your hand and challenge a card from your opponent's first row. If that card is face down, it will be flipped face up, and if it's face up, obviously you already know what it is. If the challenge card happens to be Io or Argus, which means it would have to be face down, and it's your opponent's hostage, the game would end and the player who paid the Pegasus would automatically win, because they found the hostage. If the card was a challenge card with a strength of 0 or 1, the Pegasus would defeat it, placing it in the discard pile, and the Pegasus would also go to the discard pile. If it's Medusa, obviously, it kills the Pegasus and Medusa stays. The third option is that the Pegasus encounters a card from 2 through 7, which would just result in the card being flipped face up. It would defeat the Pegasus, and the Pegasus would go to the discard pile normally. So that's you can use those for one action. And then there's Persephone, which is directly related to the use of Pegasi. What you can do is, for an action, you can play Persephone from your hand and take up to 3 Pegasi from your discard pile, placing them back into your hand. If you have 0, obviously, in your discard pile, you won't want to do this, but if you have 1 through 3, it's a good way to get these cards, which are very useful for revealing cards and destroying known cards, back into your hand. Another set of cards that is somewhat related is Pythia and either Nemesis or Poseidon. You can see Poseidon and Nemesis are not mythology cards, they're just very strong cards with an attack of 7. These are the strongest cards in the game, but they can be easily defeated by Pythia, and if Pythia directly challenges either Nemesis if it's the green Pythia, or Poseidon if it's the purple Pythia, they will automatically defeat the opposing card. Additionally, if Pythia can be used from the player's hand to look at the opponent's hand, and if Nemesis or Poseidon is in the opponent's hand, the card is immediately discarded to the discard pile, so it can actually pull the card out of the game before it even hits the battlefield. Finally, Pythia can be used for a third purpose, which is to play it from your hand and to force an opponent to turn all cards in one of their columns face up. The last 4 cards are actually the same in both decks, so I'm only going to show you one set of them from the purple deck. The first is Dionysus, and Dionysus has 2 effects that you can use. You can see he doesn't have an attack power, so you can't play him to your battlefield, but you can use an action to play him from your hand. And the first thing he does is he'll allow you to move one of your already placed cards in your battlefield to another column, so he can allow you to reposition something that you think you might need in a different location. Secondly, he can actually allow you to move one of your cards in a column to another location in that same column, so essentially he allows you to rearrange cards in your area. Hades actually allows you to go through your discard pile, you play him from your hand, and you can go through your discard pile and grab 1 card. So essentially he just allows you to bring something back from the dead and put it back into your hand. Pandora has several abilities, and it's kind of interesting. She has a 0 attack, so she's not real good on the battlefield, but what she does is, essentially if she's revealed, all cards in the column where she's revealed, including yours and your opponent's, are immediately destroyed. So it's going to wipe out an entire column of cards when she's revealed. Additionally, if you have this card in your hand when you're attacked by a Pegasus, so if somebody searches your hand with a Pegasus, and Pandora's in your hand, she's actually going to destroy your entire hand. so you don't want to have her in your hand if you think your opponent might challenge your hand with a Pegasus. Finally, Sirens allow you to take the top card from your opponent's discard pile if it's only one of the cards with a value of 1 through 7, so you can't take a mythology card, but if it's a normal card with a value of 1 through 7, you can take it from their discard pile and place it in your own hand, allowing you to use it at a later point on your own battlefield. The rest of the deck is composed of cards with strengths from 1 through 7 that have no actual abilities, so they're just there to be attackers or defenders and to try and kill your opponent's cards. And that's really the whole composition of the deck. So you're going to have your special cards with the abilities that you can use, and you're going to have normal cards that you're going to be playing at the table. And back and forth attacking. That's really all there is to the game. So that's Hera and Zeus, and I really have to say I'm not a very big fan of the game. I've had it for quite some time. I love two-player games for the most part. I'm always looking for a great two-player game. And Hera and Zeus really isn't it. Now, it's not terrible, but it has some flaws that I really think detract from the game. First, the amount of actions you get is based on the amount of columns you have left in the game. So if somebody's eliminating your columns, you're losing actions. And I think this is a big detractor because as you're getting beat down, you're also having a less of an option to come back. Now, you can play cards in your columns, but that's also detracting you from trying to figure out where your opponent's hostage is. It's detracting you from attacking them, from revealing cards, and it's really kind of hard to catch up once you're in a little bit of a behind scenario. Secondly, I kind of feel at the beginning of the game you're going a little blind. Obviously, you have face down cards. You're trying to find out what your opponent's doing. You're trying to locate things, but in order to get started, you're going to have to either reveal cards with your Pegasus, or you're just going to have to blindly attack, hoping that what you've got in the front is going to beat your opponent. Now, that's not terrible, but I'm not a big fan of random chance, and so it really just doesn't jive well with me. So, this game's not terrible. It has a little bit of a nice conflict feel. Obviously, you're directly attacking your opponent. You're trying to get your hostage back from them. Their hostage back, obviously, from them. And it's a little bit interesting in theme, but the game just really doesn't do it for me. So if you're looking for a two-player game, you're looking for a great experience, I don't think Hera and Zeus is it. But, you know, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's something that other people will like. You got to give it a try for yourself.
Thanks for joining us today. For more written, audio, and video reviews, as well as the #1 board game podcast, check out the website at www.thedicetower.com. Until then, this is Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower.